Good morning of day 4 of our Death Valley trip. A little bit of a chilly night last night, not so much outside temperature like it was the prior night, but more so that our blankets and things kind of ended up migrating off of our bodies. So at least for me, I was a little chilled last night. We had our standard and wonderful breakfast of campfire breakfast that we got to enjoy this morning on our last day. We're going to finish packing up here in a couple of minutes and then head out of the park. The last stop that we're going to make on our way home is to the Ballarat Ghost Town. It's probably not going to be like Bannock, which they really tried to preserve kind of what that place looked like. I think this just maybe has a couple of outcroppings, maybe a rusted car, and then there's a general store that apparently is still run by someone affiliated with it when the town was booming. He's supposed to have a wealth of knowledge if you have time to sit down and give him a chat. The other thing that Ballarat is known for is apparently it was a hideout at one time of Charles Manson. But we are going to finish wrapping up here and make our way out there.
On this trip we brought 2 coolers. We brought our small soft-sided Arctic cooler, and then we just bought a new Coleman cooler. It's a 40 gallon?
I think so. 40 liter, 40 gallon?
40 liter, 40 gallon hard-sided cooler. And you know, I was pretty impressed with the Coleman. This is day number 4. There's still plenty of ice in there. I'm kind of disappointed in the Arctic that the Arctic ice is completely melted. But to be fair, in the car we had the Coleman covered up pretty good, so it wasn't going to get direct sunlight, whereas the Arctic got the direct sunlight, so that probably contributed to it a lot, because we've used the Arctic in the past and didn't have any problems with it. It maintained ice for a long time. But overall, you know, and I think we paid $80 for the cooler, for the Coleman cooler. Definitely worth it.
Made it to Ballarat. It's about a 5.5 mile dirt road that you take off the highway to get to here, Panamount Springs Road. I think Valley Road is the name of the road that you're on before you turn off onto this. We did see some wild burros as we were driving in, about 4 or 5 of them. And now we are at the ghost town, or the old mining town, and we're just going to explore a little. So the sign outside said this building served as both the jail and the morgue. So based on kind of the decoration that they have remaining in here, our guess is that this side is the jail and this side is the morgue. So I'm looking at an old wooden gravestone. If I'm reading it correctly, it's broken here. looks like it was a gentleman, Dan. I can't read the first part of it. 1897 to 1948. Survived by 3 wives, 15 offspring, 2 burros, and 1 dog.
Just a short walk from the general store. There is the cemetery, so we're gonna go take a look what we got over there. Of them. The first one's going to be camping. We were not able to reserve a spot, so we were it was unknown if we were going to find a good spot or not, or if there was going to be anything available. However, when we got there, the campsite was pretty much completely empty, so we had our pick of the spots, which is very nice. And so for the last 3 nights we had a good spot, and we get basically use that for our home for the last 3 nights. Then number 2 for me is the weather. Obviously, Death Valley is a desert and extremely hot. However, here in November, the weather was nearly perfect. You know, I think 75 was the high, and then at low time, or the lows went nighttime, probably somewhere in the 40s. But overall, it was very pleasant. Also, it did rain the first night that we were here, so that was a bonus as well, just because it doesn't rain all that much. However, it did kind of hamper our campfire the first night. And then the last one is getting to ride the horses. I've never done that before, and that was something Kelly had found and wanted to do, so we got to do that, and it was definitely worth it. So those are my 3.
All right. So my 3, I think, are more kind of unexpected surprises for me. The first would be the pupfish that we saw when we were at the Salt Creek. Didn't really think that there would be much that we'd be able to see when we were there, and was pleasantly surprised to see them swimming around. The second would be, it's a little bit of an annoyance, I think, but it was actually kind of fun in the end, is dumping out our shoes after we walked through the sand dunes. Just the amount of sand that had gotten into our shoes during that brief little time was, you know, dusty and dirty, but kind of fun at the same time. And then the last one for me would be getting to see the fox. When we had a chance to speak with Brian, the camp host, he had mentioned that there had been a fox that had been wandering around a little bit in the evenings, and we did definitely get to see it the first 2 nights. I think last night we got in a little bit too late to see it during its time that it roams the area, but it got pretty close to us the times that we were able to see it. So those would be my 3 kind of unexpected surprises and fun things from this trip.
Now we're have about 4.5, 5 hour drive home. So hopefully everything goes smooth, and then we'll see you on the next adventure.